Okay, my outstanding friends, I told you I was going to do a video on Uluru, which is a sacred place for the Aboriginal Australian people, and it has an extreme meaning to them. And to me, it's a geological wonder that I've been examining for years now, and really couldn't put my fingers around it until I decided to do a deep study on this. And I think now I understand what it is, and it has far exceeded my expectations. So let's take a look at Uluru. All right, mateys. As is my style, I go right for the heart of the matter. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Uluru, in my opinion, is a tiny piece of a heart. This is what threw me for a loop. I knew it was a heart, but I couldn't put it together. Now I realize it's just the tiniest little piece of a heart. The heart is just enormous. Now, blood meal, lush growth and deep greening from blood meal. I say this every video. If you find the red, lush, green growth, you have found biology, and with the greener, the bloodier. And guess what Uluru is? Right there. All right, this is about as bloody green as you can get. You see this? The water washes down and it brings all the blood down with it, and it grows like crazy. This is a heart. However, it's just the tiniest little snippet of a heart. That's what threw me off. I said, something's not right. I can't find valves. I can't find all of the signatures, but I can see the banding of the muscle, and I can actually see the cardiac muscle as well, because it's eroded in spots. Let me show you that. But this is, in my mind, is undeniable. Look at this green. And all of this stuff I'm going to show you very shortly. But this is all cardiac muscle, this striped stuff. You see this here? It's eroded down to where you have the actual, well, I'll show you the anatomical. All right, this goes back to my original study of Uluru back in 2008. This is an image from Google. Now, you can see a little of the green, but it didn't strike me any big deal at that particular time, because I had a lot of other things I was focusing on, but I could see these heart muscle banding, but it didn't fit the profile, because it's much bigger than this if it was a heart. And I thought, how could anything be bigger than that and still be a heart? Well, shocked as I am, I will show you it's much bigger than this. The problem was I couldn't find any valves, plumbing, tubing, nothing. If it's a heart, it's going to have a lot of that stuff, and it's going to have a lot of blood vessels, which it did have some, but not as much as I was to expect for a heart. But this is just the tiniest little snip of the heart. All right, like I said, my style is to cut right to the chase. Now, don't forget, this was the original image I had, and I was confused, and I didn't understand how green this really is until the new Google Earth came out, and I can see this. That's pretty green. And you can see where it's running off. It's taking the blood out and running it off. Blood meal makes things grow green as green can be. So now, I'm thinking to myself, if this is a whole heart here, it's buried down in the ground like this. But no. That is the tiniest little piece, because I believe up over here somewhere is one of the, right here, I believe is one of the heart valves. You see the size of this here? That circle? Look at this closely. And then you have this on the inside. All right, that's the style of a vein valve, is it has like an in, and then it has a valve, which I think the blood comes this way. Through this. So if they go that way, they go that way. If they come this way, they come this way. No, this is the outside edge. You see it around here? You don't have abrupt transitions in a circle like that for nothing. And then this is the gooey stuff that runs down into the valve that gives it a little bit of flexibility. And then this down here is where the valve is. And I believe that blood came this way because it's not pushed down inside. All right, and this is about 10 meters, I think, above this. Down here, it's 606 meters. Well, let's go way down here. 563 meters. Up here, it's 692 meters. And I believe this is almost like a piece of iron blood coming out of here. It's certainly part of the tubing. As far as I'm concerned, I see this undeniably as part of the tubing. All right, and it's running out of these little, you know, everything's fed a certain way, and it has certain structural things that I understand it now pretty good. And I believe the blood came this way through this valve. But if this is a heart valve, and Uluru is way down over here somewhere, way out in Neverland, way over here, or somewhere down here, it's tiny compared to even the valve. So think of the size of this. Now, I don't know if I'm right or not, because I just turned this all around. I believe this is the digestive system. You see this? And again, I'm pretty in tune with all of these different things. Look at this. Why would this be this way? This was a creature with a heart. It would have a digestive system. It would have lungs. It would have all kinds of stuff. And when I start looking at these things, whenever you have like see this is a membrane. That's a membrane. Now whatever this stuff is, I don't know, but those are membranes. And then inside here, these are like organelles and little bits of biology. Now what that was, I don't know, but this is inside, I would think, the digestive system. It's quite long. It goes all the way from here, all the way back up, all the way back up, and this is the same sort of situation going on down here. Something is, it's biology. As far as I'm concerned, that's biology. Now look at all this stuff. This is just fascinating to me. Look at that. And whenever you see different colors like that, those are different enzymes creating those colors. All right, and you have enzymes in your body too, and those enzymes create biology. Look at this thing over here. That could be some kind of little worm or something living in the guy's body. Look at this. Now, this is not just your average landscape. Look at this. These are all membranes around here. All of those little brown areas are membranes. Everything in your body has a membrane around it. Even your red blood cells and your blood cells and everything have membranes. Membranes protect the contents of whatever it's around. And over here, there's something else going on down here. That could be, I don't know what. Part of kidney or what. I don't know if that's salt. There's a lot of investigation to be done here, because now I realize the size of this creature was staggeringly large. So this whole area, this whole section is guts. This could have been just one big gigantic creature. I never looked at it in that way before. I really haven't studied Australia that much. But there's some strange stuff going on here. Now, anytime you see colors, it's biology. The different, and it might be just standard biology of the different creatures that live in this area, but usually when you dump something in is when it creates these colors. And you see these yellow rivers coming in here. I don't know what the names of them are or whatnot, but that is not an accident, my friend. You see these little things? These are absorbers. This right here is I believe, part of the urinary tract or the rectum. And what it does is before it dumps its contents into here and making all these brilliant colors, it absorbs back some of the nutrients, which are like vitamins and so forth. And it does it through these little, right here. You think that's natural? Any doctor will understand this if they paid attention to it. All right, and then the other one is over here. Now, one of them is usually fluid, and the other one is usually poop. And I think this is the one that's doing a poop, because I think this is just a pile of poop out here. It's collected over the course of time. And this is a cloaca. Cloacas mean the two of them come together. The poop comes along with the bodily fluids, and at the end it absorbs the fluids that it can absorb back, that it doesn't want to lose all that nutrition. It's in the fluids, and it's on both sides. Look, that's just not going to happen. It's just never and ever going to happen unless it's biology. All right, and this is something else. This is kind of cool. Now that's doing what now? I don't know. That might be like an anal gland. My dog's having trouble with his anal glands. I'll have to send him to Australia. Now this side is, I believe, the poop, like I said, and I believe this is like collecting poop out here. You know, it's just sort of piling up here as it comes out. Most of it gets flushed in, but it's starting to pile up on here. But that's, I believe, why you have this specific color here. Now, why this one here has a similar color, I don't know. Something's feeding down into this one too. See that? I don't know what it is, but it's feeding out some more bodily fluids where, you know, this is the main drain on the system. And I believe, again, I'm almost sure that's part of the cloaca. Now, could that service that whole continent? It might. But anyway, all of this here, all of this red stuff is bloody bodily tissues. And this is where the most blood is, right here. The redder it is, the bloodier it is. It's just, that's what it is. Iron oxides. They say, oh, it's just iron oxides. Well, where does iron come from? It comes from blood. All right, I know how outrageous this sounds, but it is true if it's true. And I say that Uluru, that big thing that everybody thought was just some gigantic thing, is just part of a heart that runs all the way out like this, way around like this. This is the heart. Now remember, I showed you, here's Uluru, which all that green stuff is growing here. All right, there's Uluru. I mean, it's unbelievable, but it's just a little pinch of muscle, just the tiniest little swath of muscle. Now, if we come over to the valves, and don't forget all of this red stuff, I'm saying this is nothing more than muscle tissue. And it's just eroding in the outback here, or I guess they call it outback, I don't know. Now, don't forget, this is the heart. This is one of, I believe this is probably like the aorta area. Now, don't forget, this one's coming up, coming this way. So this is a valve, but the valve is coming out, and that blood, I believe, is the black vein blood. This one here is the red blood. You see the red blood here? And this one, it goes that way. Don't forget, this one here is higher up here than it is down here. I showed you that before. This one is higher up here than it is down here. This one's higher up in the middle than it is down below. It's coming this way. This one here is low here and high on the edge. You see here, this is 560 meters. Down in the center here, it's 521 meters. So that's going that way. This one over here in the center is 740 meters, and you go down to the side and you're down to 550 meters. So it's way up, a plug coming out of there. You see it? That's coming out of there, that big plug. The other one is going down inside, and that is black. So that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the vein side. And this one over here is red, is the artery side. And that's exactly what happens in the heart. You have a black and a red, and they're both circles. Now this one here, if you follow that contour, that's going to go way over here. That's going to be a big, big circle. That's not a little puppy. It's just that red blood has a tendency not to harden up like the black. You can see it's all, anyway, that's, I believe those are the valves, and Uluru just happens to be a little piece of muscle tissue. All right, so this is my contention now, is that these are the vein and artery valves. This is just the body of the thing, and this is just the tip of the bottom, and I will show you the, well, you can see how green it is. So apparently it must be letting a little bit of blood run down this way. Let me check the altitudes here. This is elevation, right here is elevation, well, let's go down to here. Elevation 523. Now, let's go back up towards where, up here, let's see this, where was I here? Here's the valves. Wow, look at the size of this thing. So it's 523. Up here it's 516. Out here it's 526, 535. So this is like a bulb coming up here. Let's get back to here and see where we are. Whoops. Let me be sure. 513. Okay, so this is 513. We come up to the crest up here, 534. So that's 20-ish up, and we come down to here, and that's 531. It's not too far off. 528. So there's a little bit of a crest here, which to me it looks like there's a pocket of blood in there that is underneath there somewhere. And now we're over here. Now let me show you what heart tissue looks like, because it's in there. I could see it. I knew it was there, but I'm thinking it just didn't have enough. It just wasn't right. But now I see, I'm understanding it is right, because again, this is the black and the red. The black, that's a valve coming this way, and that's a valve going that way. And there's going to be a bunch of other stuff here, but I think it's underneath. You know, it's sort of obstructed. I could probably dig around and find some stuff, because it had a ton of tubes. Now all of this stuff here, I believe, is the digestive system, running all the way down here, all the way down into the stomach area or whatever. All right, but I'm starting to think this is one gigantic creature. I got a lot more work to do on this to even make that statement, but that heart is pretty damn big. All right, so here's my claim. This is just a tiny little pinch of muscle. And it's wrapping around, and that's how muscles do. It wraps around in a big band, basically. But it's much, much bigger than this. You see this? This is crazy, but those are the two big valves I showed you. Ayers is like this right down here. That's about it. And then all the way over here are the valves. In between, you got all this gooey looking stuff, and you've got a little bit of a rise in between. And it's exactly what is at Ayers, Uluru. They call it Ayers Rock as well. You know, the more I look at it, I think Uluru is probably right there, or right at the tip of one of these little arteries that feeds the muscle to support it with blood. And it just ended up being at the very tip, way down here, and the valves are way up there. I mean, that's just what it is. If you look at it, it becomes pretty obvious. Here's Ayers Rock, Uluru, and it is saturated with blood. Now, there might be some kind of a little vein underneath, I mean, the artery underneath here that services that, just like we saw in the real heart. And at the end of the heart, maybe, was way down here. A huge heart. These are the valves. And to here is a certain distance, and it's approximately, I would say, very damn close to this distance from here way down to here. And then you got all this gooey stuff in between, which you do have it here too. Look at this, it's all this gooey stuff. You see it? This is all gooey looking fleshy stuff. That's a heart, and that's, I believe this is the two valves, the big main ones, and this is Ayers. Now, I don't know if I showed you all the little details now, but this is just the little bitty bands of muscle way down the end. Way down the end. And a hell of a lot of blood. So I would assume this is at the tip of an artery somewhere coming down here. But this is all part of the heart as well. Probably all the way down to somewhere here, some abrupt transition you'll see. And maybe this is just runoff. But I would say this is very close to the very bottom of the heart. And this is where the valves are. All right, and this is where this webby looking gooey stuff is, the same as on a regular heart. All right, and this looks smooth as can be, but when you're at that level way down there, you can see it's all striped and banded, just like a heart is. They show it like this. All right, see how everything's wrapping around and wrapping around? It does that, but there's like probably a million fibers in this one little band, maybe even more than that. All right, this is what a Uluru looks like up close. These are those little bands, those little fibers, and it just wraps around a heart. And it's a little tiny. These are just tiny. Those are microscopic. This is not big. Those are microscopic, my friends. Microscopic. And that's what it wraps around here. All right, that's all those little tiny microscopic bands of muscle. And there is literally hundreds of thousands of them. And each one of these probably is another one of those little straps. But there's many more than they show in that picture. This one here showing it. This is just an idea of how the banding works. But trust me, there is bazillions of little fibers in there that you cannot see. And up where it had eroded, I think you're seeing a lot of this gooey looking stuff on the surface. So something had eroded down here, and we might be looking down here or over here somewhere, but the valves are up here. If I twist that, that's basically what you're seeing, is somewhere down here is Uluru, and up here is the valves. Let me put it back where it was. All right, but that's a heart. Now, what else haven't I shown you? Let's look at some real close-ups of Uluru. Okay, pay close attention to the structure of that internal muscle. This is the muscle. Now, everything has a coating on it, like a membrane, which is that outer layer, and it is eroded down into where we can see the actual muscle. All right, this is a pretty good shot of it too. You see how it's all eroded away, and we're seeing inside all those little spots inside, you see? That's what's inside of cardiac muscle. And once again, pay really close attention to what you're seeing there. You see all those little pockets? That's cardiac muscle. And the reason it has so many pockets in there, because there's a ton of blood in it, first of all, to make the heart function. Not only is there blood in there that's pumping, but that sucker takes a lot of juice to run. So there's a lot of fluids in there, and it's got to be able to do this. There's a lot of torsion and so forth. It has to have a lot of these fibers. That's what this is all about. Now let's see cardiac muscle. That's it right there. It's the exact same stuff. And it's got to twist and do all that stuff. These are brick-shaped cardiac muscle fiber nuclei. And these are little tiny sarcomeres, really. They're hard to see here. I have other shots to show the sarcomeres. I don't know if I have them. I have it set up here or not. Yeah, here's the sarcomeres. These are muscle sarcomeres in they pinch like this, and that's whoop, whoop, whoop. They pinch, pinch, pinch. Those are sarcomeres, and then that's cardiac muscle sarcomeres. Okay, there's a couple other real close-up shots. This one here is, I'm not sure what that is, but I can tell you that's some kind of tubing, a little tiny, but this would be just minuscule. It'd be like a little tiny blood vessel, because there is a ton of them in a heart. Where I got a picture of a heart here somewhere. I guess I don't. But anyway, there's a ton of little blood vessels in it. Well, here it is right here. They're everywhere. There's all these little tiny ones, and that's one of those is opened up, a little bitty one. It's got to be one of these right down around where Uluru is. I guess I showed you about everything. These right here, these could actually be blood cells. I saw these and I said, I don't want to make any claims, but this thing this big, it could be. I don't know. I don't know what this is all about here. This is just a piece that's slapped open. And again, that's down at Uluru. And these here, these little spots coming down, I believe these are vein valves. And a vein valve will only let blood go one direction, and they pinch. It tries to go back and it pinches. Whenever I see this black, I go for vein. And there's that one, and I have another shot of it. Here it is here. You see the black? Whenever you see the black, that's vein, vein. I would say you always have red blood, and then you have vein blood. You can't have red without having vein blood, and vein is black. And I think that these are the little valves somehow. I really can't put my finger on that one. That was another one, sort of threw me for a loop, but that's really close up. So this must be a tiny, tiny, tiny little vein. All right, because don't forget, these are the fibers. These are muscle fibers. Think of how gigantic this thing is. It's over the top, enormously gigantic. So I want to do a little more research onto Australia in general, because as far as I'm concerned, that sucker is just like one big gigantic blood clot. I mean, it's just as red can be in most places. Now, I want to look and see what this is all about, and then all on this periphery, what's going on there. And it looks to me like this has got to be somewhere in the digestive system, the guts, all of these filtration devices here. These are something that's, I don't know where this is in the body, but I can tell you what, that is not just little brooks and rivers. This is biology, man. You really got to understand. I mean, look at it. You can't miss this if you understand what to look for. And having no ability to think is the problem. Hey, having a closed mind is a real issue. Now, something pinching this off here. Now, what that is, maybe a doctor would know. I don't know. Or maybe this is some kind of gland that's injecting this yellow stuff. Because you're going to have enzymes being created by little organelles and organs and all kinds of stuff in your body. And this, I can tell you, there's a pinch there going on. And this is all biology. There's no other possibility here. You saw the heart. Now, what kind of a creature it is, I do not know, because I just haven't spent enough time looking at it. But I do see some stuff I'd like to investigate over here. All right, there's something going on here, I can tell you that. Precisely what I don't know, mate. But I certainly am going to look into it. This is a project. This is a project. Why don't you guys go and look at it and see what you can make of it? You know, these things are not just happen for no reason. Whenever you see abrupt transitions like this, you got to start to think, what the hell is going on? What is this all about? Why is this like that? All right, I'm going to leave it at that for today. Again, I think I've shown you everything that I need to show you about it. But they were mining these things. They had some machines here. I've shown this. I just showed a video a little while ago today that talks all about this mining of the tendons that were here and the walls they made down in Peru and Bolivia and all those places. And here's what they did. They cut them. You see this little scoop? You see that little scoop? You see this little scoop? They just scooped them right out of here. And they delivered them. And they delivered them. And they delivered. How they did it, I don't know. What kind of equipment they had, I don't know. I could see the tracks. I could see the tracks of what the equipment they had. I have it here. So there it is right there. They had some equipment here. Where it came from, where it went to, je ne sais pas, I do not know. But I do know the things that I see, and my mind is open wide enough to investigate it with an open mind and say, if I know, I know. If I don't know, I don't know. But a lot of this I do know. Those are dragon scales. There's no question whatsoever. None. Zero. And they call them, those are just flat irons. They're everywhere. Yes, because there was dragons everywhere. And I think Australia is probably somehow linked into that same dragon scenario. As far as I can determine, all the biggest creatures on Earth were dragons. There was huge, huge human beings too, yes, but nothing like these things. Nothing like Typhon and Quetzalcoatl and Scorbzilla and all of them. They're just, it's just so far beyond the average person's mind to be able to absorb it. It's just, it's almost, you got to have a special mind to even start to think about this as a reality. And the more educated you are, the less likely you are to be able to open your mind. And I said it once before, I think in my last video, Mark Twain said, I was educated once, took me years to get over it. And Max Planck says, science advances one funeral at a time. The guy in charge, he's got to die off before somebody else comes along. Once they're in charge, they crush anybody that wants to show anything with evidence. Evidence means nothing, not a single thing in academia. Evidence has no place in academia whatsoever. It's all peer reviews. If everybody will agree to something, well, then that's it. There's nothing else to be said. And that's what I've run into for 15 years. With all the evidence I have, DNA and CAT scans and specimens and everything I've shown you, it's just way beyond their ability to consume. I don't know whether they can't be that incompetent to not understand what they're seeing and to just disbelieve DNA tests, PCR. I'm talking about top-end DNA tests, not a swab, deep inside, literally almost raw blood. And it came back excellent quality DNA, 3 of them. 2 of them were giants. 1 of them was a giant that would equivalent a 3-foot-long fingertip. You work it out, 3 foot long. And another one, there was a 4-foot wide hand. And I had fingers and knuckles and fingertips and all that. And some of them was CAT scanned, and it was DNA tested. And then I had a lung, and the lung is just our size. And the lung is almost transplantable. It's so perfect. And again, Yale agrees that all of my work was true. And here's their paper on it saying exceptional preservation. They think it was only soft-bodied, jellyish looking stuff though. Because they look at this and say, no, that was soft-bodied. No, it wasn't. It was a bone. It's just transition. And it does have a taste of bone left, so it can be tested as bone here, and the rest is the transition, nucleophilic substitution. So Yale is, as far as I'm concerned, there's no competence down there whatsoever. Plus they plagiarized my report. I gave all this stuff to Derek Briggs a year before. DNA, CAT scans, all the chemistry, everything about the silicon content, about everything. And then they got funded by NASA and said exactly what I told them to say. So don't believe your teachers anymore. Your teachers are out to hurt you. Your teachers are not there to help you. And the ones that are good teachers cannot speak. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's bad. They want to be bad. They just can't speak. It's been 15 years, not one, zero, none. None, zero, 15 years with this kind of evidence. It's disgraceful. All right, I love you all. And play around, look around and stuff. Open your mind and ask around. Ask your teachers. Can you explain this to me? You're going to take some flack. That's the problem. People are afraid. And they rightfully should be, because these people are vindictive. Mary Schweitzer was one of the first ones to discover soft-bodied, soft tissues in ancient bones and stuff. But that wasn't anything like my stuff. My stuff's way beyond that. But she was scared, and then she went on 60 Minutes, and then they wanted to try to fire her, I think. And the guy that was working with her, Mark Armitage, they did fire him, and he sued. I guess he got a settlement. Now hers, they just damaged her reputation, and I don't have a reputation, so they can't damage me. So stand up for yourself. You want to be just so told, you have to come to us, you have to say exactly what we tell you to say, and then we'll give you this piece of paper. Let me show you how they give you the piece of paper. It's called graduation. Hold on. Okay, this is Yale University graduation day. They're all down there getting their sheepskins. I love you all. This is the world we live in, my friends. I never suspected it until I finally discovered it. And it took me extreme amount of confrontation to realize how bad this really is.